crap Toyota. Alright, so all joking aside, we do have ourselves a 1998 Toyota Camry. And as much as people like Scotty want to say that these are some of the best cars on the planet, they are boring as hell, they are slow as hell, and they're just not fun to drive. So, we're going to see what we can do to make this thing just a little more fun and hopefully learn a couple things along the way. So, let's just take a look at this car and see what we have and what we can work with. Alright, so as you can see, I was kind of testing to see what the finish looked like. It's completely trashed. These Toyotas were absolutely no good on paint. One of the big things that you constantly see is like keep your eye open for these Camrys, and the bumper cover will never match the color of the rest of the car. Something about what they do, maybe the plastic part, it just cooks the paint. So the longer it sits out on the sun, the more it mismatches. I would probably guess that when this car was first sold, those two did match. And it's kind of the same thing up here on the front. They don't match. And of course, paint up here is terrible. It's flat. It's got pretty much no clear coat left. Roof is pretty bad there. Interior's not terrible. Not exactly the best either. But hey, this was my wife's car since she was still in high school, I think. Maybe leaving to college. I don't know. That was back in, that would have been approximately 2002 or so. So it has been worked. But anyways, she gave me the go-ahead to do whatever I wanted to with this thing. So we need to see what we can do to have a little fun with it. But one of the things I do notice is the suspension, although not the worst I've seen, could use a little help. So we got some new struts over there for the front, and we'll get to work and swap them in and see what better operation we have going on with this thing. Alright, tire off. So I'm not 100% sure if you can see it in here, but this strut's pretty crusty up there. So that's what we're going to tackle right this moment. So we just need to undress everything. Guess we can just zip out some of these bolts and see what we have. There, got just about every metric socket out. So we should be able to hit these things and get rolling. Those piece disconnected. That's attached to the knuckle still there. We shouldn't have to worry about that. Sway bar end link. Looks like it's a 14. That it is. Yep, she's a spinner. That looks like it's going to be a fun one. Alright. got a Allen wrench piece. Well, that certainly is something. That should be that. Alright, we got everything situated on jack stands now, so that should come right out. Don't have to worry about that piece anymore. So, I guess it is time to hammer the big bolts. And there we go. Isn't that special? Pull the pin, pull the pin. Pull the pin. Now our strut is pretty much free, and we just have the 3 bolts on top of the shock tower here. And then we'll be good to go there. Let's see. What's our guesses? 14? 14 is money. All right. So it should then just be a matter of weaseling this thing out. Well, I thought I had my big pry bar out, but I guess we'll just see what we can do with a big screwdriver. There's that. Ta-da! That's one guy out. Alright, so our next step is to take the new one and slide it right on up into the car the same way we got the old one out. So it should be pretty easy. So let's just get right to it. Alright, so I was having a little troubles with this one. For some reason it seems like it's a little longer than it should be, but with a little help from the jack, we're able to weasel it in there a little bit better. So, I guess we need to lower the jack down. Let's get our bar out of there. Maneuver our jack right under the knuckle here. Boys, that's a little more of the ticket. Well, there we go. That's a little better. also looks like the hook section here is a little bit different too. That's a little unusual. I think we can just let that hang out there. Maybe grab a zip tie and tie it up. All right. I don't know about anyone else, but that looks pretty nice. Now, I'm gonna have to go do the same to the other side. Okay, so while doing the other side, I managed to strip out this end link for the sway bar. So I just pulled the whole sway bar out. Essentially, we could repair that, but I'm thinking we can just leave it alone and see what it does. Just for funsies, you know. I guess here's our car. Let's drop it down. See how she looks with some weight on it. All right. Well, there she is. Got some weight on it. And I think it's looking pretty good. Like one weird part, for some reason, seems like it's quite a bit higher. That's it, fully settled in. The rear was like that. This side's up there. That's kind of strange. It's like this front end is quite a bit high too. Got some major camber going on. All right, so after rolling it forward and back, the camber's kind of settled out where it needs to be. But we still got some sizable gap here. The other thing that was kind of interesting is these shock tower pieces. That didn't quite fit either. So I actually ended up having to slot them out so they'd slide in. But the centerpiece centered in there quite nicely, so all in all, that wasn't too bad of a swap. Now, some of you might be asking what type of idiot I am for installing something that doesn't fit. Well, let's head over to the bench and show you what we actually did. All right, so these are our struts. This is an FCS Auto, so it's kind of the cheap replacement, probably made in China or something. Let's see what it actually says on here. Yep, survey says made in China. But, as you can probably see, there's a little bit of some size difference here. Let's start off with, let's get these spring perches lined up perfectly. And you can see we got a little bit of a difference there. This is 10 inches from the bottom of the spring perch to the end. And over here, we're at 9 inches. So we have an inch longer here. And then up here at the top, we've got, let's go to the front here. Let's call that 11 inches. And let's call that 11.5 inches. So we have an extra ½ inch between the top and here, and another inch between here and here. So that means this guy is a full 1.5 inches longer than this one. And the real question is, why does that matter, or why did I just install that? Well, you see, this gets you more room under this spring bucket. It gets you a little bit more oomph there, and you also gain a little more travel with the whole works being a little bit longer. So, some of you might actually figure out where I'm going with this, but let's head back over to the car and show you what we're actually thinking about. Alright, so as you can see there, what that does is buys us just a little more room so we could possibly fit like a bigger tire. It's like this is just a junk tire off of one of the pickup trucks out back here. So this is like a 235 75 R15, which I believe would be a great size tire to wedge underneath this thing. It's like we probably won't have to do a whole lot of trimming. There'll still be some trimming, and yeah. And then again, someone might ask, why are we doing this? We're making ourselves a real gambler this time. So that's something to look forward to. We are going to be assembling this probably within about a month's time, and we'll get it out and test it on some backcountry roads and see what we're looking at. So that's the reason why the sway bar was pulled out, because we won't need that for off-roading. That's also why I wanted to find that specific strut that adds an extra 1.5 inches in between the tire and that bucket. So that way that allows us to fit a little bit bigger of a tire underneath there without running in that bucket. And now, the real thing is, where did these struts come from? These struts came from a 2003 Camry. So, it's basically the piece down here at the knuckle is exactly the same, but up top, they're a little bit bigger of a circle. 1998 Camry, 2003 Camry. Our spacing between those bolts, just for purpose sake, let's call that 4.5 inches. And then that same 4.5, you can see, needs to be expanded just a little bit. So we're talking about 4.9 inches. So maybe 3/8 of an inch maybe. So this is a little bit bigger circle. And luckily this section here actually fit through the top here. So that allows it to center in this bucket. So we could slot these sections to make it big enough to fit these nuts on. So that is pretty much what we're doing. We will be getting some wheels in here before too long. Make a double measurement from the wheel to that strut top, that spring perch bottom piece. Getting some extra measurements there with tape measure and making sure that the tire we want to put on will actually fit on. So next time we'll probably have those wheels, so we'll be able to test that out, and then we'll have to head to the back and try to tackle that. Now the big question up here is about if the, what do we want to call it, the half shafts, if they can handle that little extra droop that it has. But I'm thinking an extra 1.5 inches is not a big deal, and there's much more movement when you turn the wheel than there is when you gain an extra 1/2 inch there. So the angle should be just good enough. But anyways, that's probably going to do it for us this time. I'm going to clean out all these leaves and vacuum some of the rugs and stuff, and we'll just have to get back and see you next time.